Good morning and welcome to Christians Aren't Sheep, a beginner's guide to meditation. Oh, what do we got here? We got day 8, start of the second week of our exercise, or my exercise routine. And again, I'm looking for evidence to believe in the Bible, of its truthfulness, reliability, and I thought about this morning. Ezekiel chapter 37, and this is a couple verses there, 21 and 22. Then say to them, thus says the Lord God, surely I will take the children of Israel from among the nations, wherever they have gone, and will gather them from every side and bring them into their own land, and I will make them one nation in the lands on the mountains of Israel. And pay close attention to this, one king shall be over them all. They shall no longer be two nations, nor shall there be divided into two kingdoms again. Okay, back in the early 1900s, that would have been laughable, because Israel wasn't even close to being a nation. But if I scroll down this article, here we go. On May 14th, 1948, David Gurion, the executive head of the Zionist organization and president of the Jewish Agency for Palestine, declared the establishment of the Jewish state, and the modern state of Israel was born. That is very cool. Now, remember the last part of the verse, about not being divided, having two kings? Well, listen to this. In April of 1949, the Israel-Transjordan Armistice Agreement was signed, officially dividing control of Jerusalem between Israel and Jordan. The Jordanians occupying East Jerusalem, while the Jews maintained control over west part of the city. So Jerusalem was being ruled by two kings. Fancy that. Yeah, and then so Jerusalem was still partially being controlled by the Gentiles, but then came 1967 and the Six-Day War. In 1967, Israel once again, forced to fight overwhelming odds for its very survival, took on Egypt, Syria, and Jordan in a short war. Oh, no, I missed a spot here. Okay, so after they declared themselves a nation, on April, so Jerusalem, the next day, 5 Muslim nations attacked Israel in an effort to destroy the newborn Jewish state. Those included Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Iraq, and Lebanon. The fact that Israel won this war later, called the War of Liberation, was an absolute miracle. Very interesting. Yeah, and then we go on to okay, so then Israel was partly being controlled by the Gentiles, but then came 1967, the Six-Day War. In 67, Israel once again, forced to fight overwhelming odds for its very survival, took on Egypt, Syria, and Jordan in a short war that was fought from June 5th to June 10th. Israel won a decisive victory, resulting in the capture of the Sinai Peninsula, the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, Old City of Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. At this point, Israel was finally and firmly back under Jewish control for the first time in 1900 years. How could the writer have known that 1900 years ago? Well, that just leads me to one conclusion. A God that knew. So, yeah. Anyway, seems that this is the start of our second week of the exercise routine. We should start another verse. First week we learned, what did we learn the first week? I'll have to think about that. Anyway, for this week, we got Philippians 4 verse 6. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God your needs. And don't forget to thank Him for His answers. Okay. I've kind of rambled on here for a bit. Y'all have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow.